Hey everybody! Okay, so Gary Bettman was interviewed by MaClean yesterday on live on YouTube on a live stream, and he talked about the possibility of when the NHL might return and what it might look like if they're able to get the season finished. And he did sort of make sure that you knew that these are not set plans. They have a lot of other different plans they're talking about, but I'm of the mind that he seemed to be talking about in one direction. So even though they're not set on that, they must be leaning heavily towards, I guess, what I'm going to go over right now. So that's all right here at Talkin' Habs, the home of Habs hockey, where everything is dedicated to the Habs and all things hockey. Okay, so we're going to kind of just go over what he talked about. And I've done a video on this already before, and I'll tell you what, even though I didn't know this was going to happen, it's a little bit similar to what I was thinking they were going to do. And this is that. So he's talking, there was a rumor that they were going to maybe go to neutral sites, which would mean like college arenas in the States, something like that. And he kind of put that to rest because the neutral arenas don't offer them all the things that they need. As he put it, they don't. What they need from an NHL arena is mostly the back of the house. That's what he calls it, which means their facilities, their multiple locker rooms. And don't make a joke, every arena has multiple locker rooms, and they have at least 2. But in the NHL arenas, they actually have 4. And these locker rooms can also be isolated to be sterilized in between games, so that when they're finished one game, team leaves, before the next team comes in, they can sterilize those rooms. And if they're going to continue the hockey, you're looking at four arenas. They're talking about 4 arenas, which means 8 teams each arena, except for one, would have 7, just like the divisions. And he did make it clear to say that it doesn't mean that it's going to be in a divisional way. So they're not going to take all of one division and put them in one arena, because it doesn't really make sense. They're going to have to figure out a schedule and have the teams that need to play those games in the proper arenas, which I don't know how they're going to do. I would think that's going to be a very big challenge, but they're talking about it. They have a lot of different models, he said, but this is one that they're talking about. Okay, so we've got 4 NHL arenas. The reason being that they have the multiple locker rooms, they have all the TV facilities, they have all the he actually mentioned this, and I was wondering why, but instant replay ability. So I guess that's something that I guess college arenas don't have. But so they have that. They have the proper rink, the glass, all of those things. Plus, an NHL city has something that I don't think a smaller college town would have, and that's the accommodations for the players. Players for 8 teams are going to need to be accommodated in a hotel that's nearby the arena, and there's also going to need to be practice facilities that are pretty close so that you don't have to do a lot of traveling around. And there's cities that they're talking about, and I'm going to get to that during this video. So as I wrote here, NHL arenas would have to have everything. Cities would need the infrastructure, and that infrastructure is the hotels, restaurants, all that stuff that's very close to the arena, so that the players can stay basically quarantined, because they want the players to be quarantined. They're not going to be talking to anybody. They're going to be seeing anybody, only themselves and the group, and that includes the staff for the team that's needed, the crews that are needed in the arenas and all that. They're all going to be quarantined and not really, from what I heard, not even be allowed to go home and see their families. Is going to be that tight. That's what I heard. By the way, this pen died, and this was a new pen. That's why it looks like that, so don't make fun. Could start late summer. He's talking about starting late summer. And one thing that I was really surprised at was the length of training camp that Gary Bettman mentioned, because I was thinking 2 weeks. I heard players talk that they could be ready in 1 week, so I was not sure, and I had written here at least 1 week, but Gary Bettman said at least 3 weeks. 3 weeks of training camp, so that's in their view. So I'm going to go ahead and say more than likely it's 2 to 3 weeks. I don't see how they can do longer than that. So you're looking at a bit of training camp, which we all knew they'd have to get back into shape. So there's no doubt about that. They're going to play multiple games in each arena every day, and as they, like, if they're going to finish the regular season, obviously they have a 180 9 or something like that games left to play, and you're going to have 3 games a day in each arena. That's how they're going to work it out. And then once the playoffs roll around, it'll cut down, and as each series, they'll cut down in the number of arenas needed and all that kind of stuff. So that's how it's going to work out. I wrote here Brendan Gallagher. There's a reason for that. I was on Twitter, and I saw not a quote from Brendan Gallagher, but someone was saying that this is what he had said, that he doesn't really see the need he doesn't really want to go back and play games. He thinks that the teams that are in contention and are going to make the playoffs, they should do that, and he would like to concentrate on getting ready for the next season rather than playing meaningless games, unless obviously they change the playoff format. But from what Bettman said, never mentioned that. That was never mentioned. What they would like to do is finish the season with integrity so that nobody can complain that it's unfair. So to finish the regular season and get the games in if possible. But he did also say that that was a perfect scenario. And look, life isn't perfect, and maybe it's not going to work out in a perfect way. So there may be an imperfect solution, and that's why they have so many models and so many things they're talking about. And we'll get to the bottom. Imperfect solution, the draft is... Okay, so they're also talking about something that I might have nailed on the head. If you go back and check my video when I first talked about how the playoffs might come about or how they might finish the season, mid-June. So they're talking about returning in June sometime. I said mid-June, that's what I thought. So it looks like they might be able to get back to the training camps by sometime in June. I didn't hear the timeline in June, but I'm saying mid-June, so you're looking at first week of July, breaking camp, and heading out or not heading out, probably play camp in the cities they're in. And, so you're looking at probably first week of June that this season would restart, or that they jump right into the playoffs and they do that. So depending on what they're going to do. Now, this is the kicker that I don't understand how they're going to do it. They're talking about having the entry draft before the season has finished. I don't know how that's going to work. He even laughed about it, and it's not a perfect solution because you got teams that have maybe draft choices that are based on how the team they got the draft choice from in a trade, how they finish. There's the conditions. There's conditional draft picks. How are you going to work that out? How are you going to have how do you know who's going to draft where? How are you going to do the lottery when you haven't finished the season? This is what I don't get. But they're apparently seriously considering having the draft before they've announced anything about the rest of the season even. So having the draft in June, that's what he's talking about. I don't know how they're going to do that. It makes zero sense to me, but apparently that's one of the things that they're talking about. So let's go over everything just so that we got it clear, because I think I got everything. So they're talking about 4 NHL arenas. Oh, this is what we're going to talk about. I wrote it here. Okay, the cities. The cities that they're considering. There's 4 cities that right now they are considering heavily, and these are the cities. First one up is Edmonton. Edmonton has a very low percentage of the province's COVID cases are in Edmonton, as opposed to Calgary has a high percentage. So Edmonton looks like a good choice as far as Canada. I don't think Vancouver is, because they've got a lot there. Montreal, Quebec's is one of the leaders in COVID cases. It doesn't rule out Toronto, though, oddly enough. But back to Edmonton. Edmonton also has, apparently, their arena complex has a hotel attached to it, which would make it great, because then players don't have to travel to go to a hotel. So that's going to be important. Toronto. Of course, they're talking about Toronto. How could they not be talking about Toronto? They do have hotels in walking distance. They have practice facilities. I think that's pretty close. And, of course, they've got restaurants. They got food. They got everything they need otherwise. So, yeah, Toronto's being talked about. Pittsburgh is also being talked about. Pittsburgh apparently has very close, like if not built right into the arena or in that complex, they have practice facilities right there, which is going to be a bonus. And hotels are within walking distance as well. So that's the infrastructure that's needed. So Pittsburgh's talked about, and they didn't go into detail on why the next city, but I'm going to imagine it's the same reason. hotels near the arena, practice facilities, and of course restaurants, food, all that kind of stuff. And that's Dallas. Dallas is also being considered. So we've got Edmonton and Toronto in Canada, and Pittsburgh and Dallas. Now I would think that all the Canadian teams are going to be at these two arenas in Canada, and then the teams that are close to the border probably are going to come up into Canada, and then the other teams are going to stay and go to Pittsburgh and Dallas. And that kind of makes sense because when you think about it, they're kind of spaced out in a way that regionally they can gather up all the teams. So it makes sense to me. Now, another thing that they're definitely talking about, Ron MaClean asked them about, are there going to be fans in the stands? And, of course, he can't answer that. And he said, depending on what, it's not up to them. It's going to be depending on what they're told by the government, by the health people, all that kind of stuff. So he doesn't know. I'm going to take a guess and say there's going to be no fans in the stands, which will be a little weird to get used to, but we'll be watching from home. So really, it won't make a ton of difference. You just won't hear the noise. That's what's going to be odd, is the noise level is going to be really low. But they're going to have to do this without fans. I don't see having fans. I heard some places in the States, they're talking about maybe not till 2022 till they allow sports attendance. And that's going to depend on vaccine and all that kind of stuff, what kind of treatment there's going to be to whether we're going to be able to go to an arena or a stadium or whatever to see a sporting event. I don't think it's going to happen for a while, but doesn't mean that they can't play. As long as they keep quarantined, keep sterilizing, keep do all that good stuff, they should be able to play hockey and baseball and football and all that without people in the stands. That's simply what it's going to be. They're going to have to be testing them often, and yeah, just that kind of stuff. So these are the plans that from Gary Bettman. They're not going to make a final decision until they have to. Basically, that's what they're saying. They have the time to do it. Oh, I think I forgot to mention that when they're talking about playing late in the summer, they are talking about having a later start to next season. He said that, starting next season a little late. And I would imagine, and I said that in my video, that, yeah, they'll have a late start with a compressed schedule like in a year when they have when they're going to the Olympics, and it's an Olympic year. So they always have a compressed schedule. They're going to have to do that. A lot more back-to-back games next season is what I'm going to figure on, which I hate those, but what are you going to do? So there you go. That's everything I know about what's going on with the NHL. He's going to update us, I guess, as they make more decisions or as things happen, and we'll get updates. So it's still up in the air, but at least we have a better idea of what they're looking at doing and when it might happen. So there you go. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. While you're on the way down there to do that, subscribe, ring that notifications bell. It's right down there. It'll get you all of my videos, your daily fix of Blue Blanc Rouge if you're a Habs fan. And while you're also down there doing that, leave a comment in the comment section. What do you think about this? What do you think about the draft before they finish the season? I don't know how they're going to do that. I'd like to know what you guys think of that. So let me know what you think about any of this. And that's in the comment section. I read all my comments. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out. Stay safe. Wear gloves. Wear a mask. I do. And all that good stuff. Wash your hands a lot. And stay home. That's the big thing. Peace out, all.